Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Maria. If you watch this video and you enjoy it, don't be shy, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for any future videos on narcissistic abuse recovery and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Today we are going to get into a video on how you can become your own #1 fan. Let's do this. Let's start off by talking about why we get so down on ourselves. So if you're watching this channel, you're partially interested in narcissistic abuse recovery, emotional abuse, or trauma. Okay, so when we are younger, we create narratives in our minds as to who we are, and I'm talking about our identity. Okay, so why do we create these narratives, or what do I mean by this? Well, what I mean is when we are younger, say we have parents that are emotionally unavailable, emotionally abusive, psychologically abusive, we tend to fill in the blanks as to why this is happening to us. So we haven't had these life experiences yet. We don't understand things on the level as of a mature adult, right? We're children. So let's say that our parents don't stand up for us. Let's say they tease us, or they just sweep things under the rug. They don't talk about emotions. Maybe we are bullied in school and we don't feel comfortable telling our parents. Maybe one of our siblings bullies us and we don't have anyone to turn to. So we turn inward and we create narratives as to why this is happening to us. This tends to always be our fault. So we fill in the blank. We are getting bullied at school because, and then we fill in, there's something wrong with me. My parents are sweeping things under the rug and they're not actually acknowledging that I'm in pain or that I'm hurt because I'm not good enough. Okay, so we fill in the blank because we don't know why things aren't being explained to us. Okay, and this happens a lot of times when our parents are covert narcissists or, even malignant narcissists. We just don't understand. We're too young. Okay, so what does this happen? How does this transpire into adulthood? When we go through emotionally unavailable childhoods, when we go through emotionally abusive childhood, we grow into adults with no explanation, and we develop what is called a negative inner critic. This inner critic takes the place of whoever was emotionally unavailable to us as children. So the words that we have in our mind, in our subconscious minds of, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not smart enough, I'm never going to get a good job, I'm never going to get married, I'm never going to have a healthy relationship. These were outside words. These are outside voices that we have carried from childhood, and we are now replacing them, and they are the negative inner critic in our minds. Okay, so these negative thoughts, they were never intended to be in our minds, right? So these narratives that we created, these, I'm going to fill in the blank, or maybe your parents just outright said these things to you. Okay, maybe your parents just literally told you you weren't good enough. Okay, so either way, these are false narratives that we have attached to our identity. Now, because we have this negative inner critic that's now taking the place of these emotionally unavailable people, we tend to live out our lives and attract people into our lives that are in alignment with the way in which we think we should be treated because of these negative inner critic thoughts. Let's get into 4 different ways in which we can be our own #1 fan. So from this point where we understand we have these negative thoughts, we have this negative inner critic, there has to be a level of a conscious decision that we are going to have so much compassion for ourselves before we start our healing journey. This means that we need to back ourselves up. We cannot beat ourselves up. Okay, so these things that happen to us in our past and our childhood, we don't play the role of the victim, but we know it's not our fault. Okay, so we need to be our number one fan. The first way in which you can be your number one fan is to detach these false narratives from your life so that you can live out who you truly are supposed to be. So detaching all these garbage narratives that this I'm not smart enough because I was never as good or as smart as my brother or my sister, or this I was bullied because I'm strange, I'm weird, there's something wrong with me, or I was treated differently than my siblings because I was a problem. All of these narratives need to one by one be detached from your identity. They were never meant to be a part of you. They have nothing to do with you, okay? This is someone else's unhealed trauma that they never dealt with because they went through something when they were younger, and they've attached this now, they fed this into you when you were a child and you believed it and you attached it to your identity. So the first way in which we can be our own number one fans is to detach these false narratives from our identity, because underneath it is our true sense of self. If you ever walk around and people ask you, who are you? And you don't know who you are. You know who you are. It's just buried underneath a lot of false narratives that have been placed on your life. The second way in which we can become our number one fans is to speak life into ourselves, okay? So the narrative around your home should look something like this. You just made your bed, stand over your bed. Girl, that is amazing you did that today. You didn't have to do that today, but you did it. Girl, you just set yourself up for success. Let's go. Let's do this. You cook yourself breakfast. You make your juice in the morning. You just gave yourself energy. Thank you so much for doing that for me. Like, you didn't have to be there for me, and you are so good. You love yourself so much. Thank you, girl. Thank you so much. Okay, this might sound silly. This is literally the narrative that you need to have for yourself in your own life. This is how you become your number one fan. Why do we do this? Is this conceited? No, this isn't conceited. This is actually how you reprogram your subconscious mind. So these negative inner critic thoughts are your subconscious mind going to what is normal, what it's used to, what's comfortable to you, what you know. And in your subconscious mind, you have a file folder of as to why you are not worthy, as to why you are not smart enough. You can tell yourself why, over and over again, a million times a day, because it is in your subconscious mind and you have so much evidence. We need evidence as to why you are worthy. We need the dialogue in your life to change so that you have a file folder of evidence as to you made your bed this morning, you are worthy, you are there for yourself, you are good enough. You did something good at work, you completed your job, you got to work on time. You are smart. You are good enough, right? But we need to fill the file folder of evidence in your subconscious mind as to why you are these things, so that we overweigh and we reprogram our subconscious minds from these negative inner critic thoughts. This is the other end of the spectrum. This is how we're going to reprogram our subconscious mind. We need to hear ourselves, talk to ourselves in a different voice, in a different way, which is completely going to be better than how you actually feel. But this is how we're going to change our thought process. This is how we're going to get rid of that negative inner critic. The third way in which we are going to be the number one fans in our lives we need to reevaluate what safety means to us, because a lot of us think that toxic relationships are safe. We think that being in a toxic relationship and not leaving the relationship is safer than leaving the relationship and being on our own. All right. So our illusion of what safety is kind of off. And this is because of what the definition of safety meant when we were children. Was it safer to be silent? Was it safer to comply with what toxic caretakers did and what they said? Was it safer to not have a voice when we were children? Okay, so we need to recreate what safety in our lives actually means to us now. And because we are adults, we are allowed to do that. So we have to create safe environments for ourselves. What does this mean? This means be intentional about what is safe to you. Safe people, this means toxic people in your life, they need to go. Okay, the people that feed off of your good energy, that only care about how you make them feel, they need to go. Okay, we need safe relationships in our lives. We need to be in a safe environment. Your home environment needs to be safe. This may mean that we need to really recreate what our life looks like. But if we really want to have a better life, it takes work, like you have to create this. But a very important part of this is creating safe places for yourself. So maybe being around people that are doing a lot of drugs and alcohol, and maybe this is something that you do, and it creates a lot of toxic relationships. It creates a lot of chaos in your life. Okay, chaos does not equal safety. For a lot of us that have been in emotionally abusive relationships, we think that chaos is safe. It's not. Chaos is familiar. Being familiar does not equal being safe. So it's important that you create a safe environment for yourself. And the fourth way in which we can be our number one biggest fans is to create boundaries in our lives. Boundaries are hard, okay? So creating boundaries is going to take a lot of work, and it's going to be an intentional work. You're going to have to create boundaries with certain people that you feel safe with, and then there are going to be people that you don't necessarily feel safe with. Maybe it's someone at your work or someone that you can't just go no contact with. And you're going to have to create and be verbally illustrate what these boundaries are to these people as well. So boundaries are not easy, but when you have that strong sense of self, see, there's an order to this, right? So you're creating a strong sense of self by detaching these false narratives, right? You're creating a safe environment for yourself. You are eliminating the toxic people from your life, okay? So you're creating a strong sense of self and safety in your life. And at that point, you can create boundaries because you know who you are. So you're not just creating boundaries from out of nowhere. You're creating boundaries to illustrate what it is that you want in your life because you know who you are. Okay? So having those boundaries in your life is a form of protection. Right? So you're protecting this new life that you created by having these boundaries. And along the way, you're celebrating every little small success you have. So every time you create safety in your life, you're going to celebrate that. Every false narrative that you detach from your identity, you're going to celebrate that. Every boundary that you make, that you tell someone, this is my boundary, you're going to celebrate that. And that's where this whole you're doing amazing, like you're killing it at life, you can do this, like this kind of, you just created that boundary, you weren't able to do that a month ago, you haven't drank in such and such amount of time, that's something you didn't think you could do. This is where the power from within comes from celebrating every little small success you have. You are reprogramming your subconscious mind. This is the work that goes behind it. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, don't be shy, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for any future videos on narcissistic abuse recovery and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And as always, I wish you all the love in the world.